Hello and welcome back to Legend of the GLORIO Heroes, episode 16. We're dropping in hot this week. The Empire is but a week away, and we're gonna have to scramble if we want to find any good loot here in Iserlohn before the fight. I'm your host, G, currently sporting a backpack and 3 scopes. And with me, as always, having taken all the guns, the shields, and all the healing, is my purported wingman, Iro.
Hi. Yeah, I've got 2 wingmen actually.
Oh shit! It's a very Eero-esque move, but we're not just here to talk about whatever insipid battle royale games we're playing.
With battle royale jokes.
We are not. Apologies, folks. We're still playing them. Maybe once that wears off, we can start doing like Sunless Skies bits or something.
I don't know. What's the next anime game coming out?
In the next big anime game,
so the front mission spin-off.
Oh man, don't even get me started on Left Alive, dude. That game fucking Front Mission Evolved was already maybe one of the most like singularly disappointing reinventions of a franchise I'd ever seen. Somehow Left Alive manages, to look even worse than that. Like, Front Mission Evolved at its core was just like bad Armored Core. This looks like bad Armored Core plus like bad Metal Gear Solid 5, which I don't know, and yet I'll probably still consider picking that game up because I'm a fool.
What about Jump Force?
Nah, look, man, like Yusuke Urameshi can convince me to do a lot of things in my life, but even his presence in Jump Force is not enough to...
What if it had Kazuma Kuwabara?
That would be pretty good. That would push things in the right direction. But, however, my understanding is Jump Force has Japanese voices only.
Yeah.
So, not only do I have to fucking listen to Grandma Goku, I have to listen to non-dub Kuwabara. No, she's not. Sorry, dude. Like... I don't even think this is that spicy of a take. Japanese Goku is not that good. I think.
Come on.
I think most of the American anime fan base will agree with me on this. That not that great. That voice is like almost acceptable for like Kid Gohan, but like rapidly passes out of favor by the time Goku is supposed to be a fucking man. Fighting to defend Earth. But I digress. Speaking of people who are...
what if Jump Force had young Wenli in
it? Speaking of people who have committed themselves to defending, if not Earth, then, all of mankind, we're here to talk about Legend of the Galactic Heroes.
Yeah, not Jump Force.
The legendary 1988 science fiction OVA.
Yes, today we're covering episode 45, The Cold Wave Arrives, episode 46, Admiral Yang's Arc, and episode 47, Seeking a Free Universe.
Yes, these 3 episodes. The times are a-changing here in this little corner of the galaxy, in this little page of history.
Yeah, and with the new year...
Yeah, with the new year, big things are coming in the new year, and... it's one might call it an interesting trio of episodes.
Indeed.
And we should probably just get into it.
Yeah, because, so episode 45 starts with Reinhard and his, subordinates celebrating the new year!
Ringing in the new year, in the only way the Empire knows how.
I guess we've, normalized time across all systems or something.
Yeah, sure. I mean, look,
it's not that big a deal.
Yeah, it's Galactic New Year's, okay?
Time, yeah.
Yes. Happy Galactic New Year's.
Everyone's going cheers with their martini glasses of champagne.
Yeah, surprisingly, they don't start throwing them on the ground. I thought that was just the old Empire tradition, the decadence of the Empire.
When you're going to die or something, right?
I don't know. I don't know how it works, dude. Yeah. I just know they like to fucking throw their glasses on the ground, and that's probably a real pain in the ass anywhere that's got carpet. So But yeah, so they're all ringing in the new year. Reinhardt's talking about how you're only ever allowed to exist as the subjects of my conquest. Reinhardt, please cool it just a little bit.
Yeah, and the young admirals are showing off. They've got so much energy with Operation Ragnarok.
Yeah, they're just so excited. Everybody is fucking chomping at the bit to win some glory in this war.
Yes.
We got like this dude Truniht or something, supposedly a classmate of Reinhard back in the day. He's a vice admiral now. And what was exact toast again? It was like
I forget.
His toast was a big like power move
to the final year of the Free Planets Alliance.
Yeah, something like that. Which it's pretty good because also like the fucking whole room goes quiet and everybody looks at him and he's kind of embarrassed. He's like, "Oh shit, maybe I shouldn't have gone so hard on that." But Reinhardt's like, haha.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it is totally going to be the last year of the FPA's existence. So,
but Mittermeyer and Mueller are more worried because they're going to have to face Admiral Alexander Bucock.
Yeah, who they say is worth like fucking 3 Empire admirals at the very least.
Experience, we'd fall short of that old man.
Right. They said if it was me, Mittermeyer, Mueller, and like fucking Reuenthal combined would come up short against Bucock. And it's like, I kind of like trying to build up the mythos of Bucock considering how little we've really seen of him, in battle.
We just know he's a cool guy.
We just know he's a very cool guy. They call him Bucock, the living military museum. We have a good part here where, we kind of have big mood Mueller, where they're kind of having this conversation about Truniht. Like, oh, all these young guys have so much energy. And Mueller's like, I'm young, but I don't have any energy.
Yeah.
And I was like,
oh yeah, same dude.
Like, man, that's same, my dude. But yeah, so we have this bit here where they're having their party. It's going through the night, and we have
Reinhard comes to talk to them about their tactics or whatever.
Yes. Reinhard celebrates the new year the only way he knows how. Drinking and quizzing people on military tactics.
It's funny because everyone's got their drinks, and then Reinhard walks up to talk with Mittermeyer and Mueller, but we see that Reinhard's glass is already empty.
Yes.
Unlike everyone else in the room.
Kind of these subtle hints here and there that Reinhard keeps hitting the drink.
Yeah, it's not as blatant as Yang.
No, but definitely. But here's the thing, right? You could argue that because Yang's alcoholism is so fucking blatant that there's a degree of management to it. He is a functional alcoholic.
Sure.
My worry with Reinhard is because it's such an understated thing. We're eventually just gonna eventually gonna start noticing right now it's just an empty martini glass. What happens if 20 episodes later is Reinhard with a third empty bottle of wine or something,
Yeah.
we got a shot of Reinhard with a bottle of scotch, and then 10 seconds later, the bottle is half empty or something.
Yeah.
But anyways, yes. So he, as Iro was saying, he was quizzing Mittermeyer. He was basically saying, Mittermeyer, what do you think the FPA is going to do?
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of like this conversation because it very much speaks to this idea that good generals don't only think about their own tactics; they think about what their enemy is likely to do. Iro, you want to talk about it? You were about to get into it.
Basically, they think that the best way to fight the Alliance would just be to crush them with overwhelming force, but because the Alliance doesn't have enough ships, they'll probably try to lure the Empire in and hit the supply lines, much like what happened during the FPA's offensive during Amlitzer.
Yeah, and it's one of those things of even though Mittermeyer predicts this tactic, and we eventually find out that this is almost exactly what Bucock tries to do, I'd almost say this isn't necessarily an indictment of their tactics, but more it is a recognition of the FPA is in such a state that this is basically the only strategy they can use, to even stand a chance against the Empire. Meanwhile, Mueller predicts that, maybe the FPA will just be a bunch of dumbasses and try and get into a stupid battle of attrition, which, will inevitably win. And, there's a part of me that's like, oh, geez, I hope Mueller isn't fucking foreshadowing, the FPA's approach to this war here, because as we find out later, in terms of the sheer numbers, FPA
it's like
very much coming up short. But yeah, so then we kind of progress through this New Year's party.
Yeah. On the subject of people drinking, Hilda goes back to the bar and gets some juice instead of filling her alcohol.
Yeah, she knows better.
Yeah.
Not like all these other dudes just fucking hitting the drink. But gotta keep that mind sharp. But
yeah, and
eventually the party kind of starts to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Get some. Let's see, Rear Admiral Sombart hanging out with Truniht.
Yes. They're kind of talking about like how Mittermeyer and Reuenthal are kind of advancing, away, like far and away ahead of every other general in Reinhard's army.
Yeah, and talking about how, Reinhard's subordinates have, advanced quite quickly in their careers because there have been plenty of opportunities for them to distinguish themselves in battle. But if the war ends, then there won't be any more opportunities really for people to rise in the ranks.
And I kind of wonder if this is kind of like a subtle remark on maybe, in a similar case as Geiersburg, I do wonder if this is maybe a subtle remark on not necessarily the thing that will break the Empire or give the FPA a chance, but maybe the thing that could definitely like hamper the Empire in the long run in this like big war campaign of theirs, is that, like Geiersburg, the FPA is fighting for its survival. Like, there is no time for glory to be won here. Everybody, it's all hands on deck. Everybody needs to just bring out their best ideas. But for the Empire's side, I do wonder how much of this is going to be power plays to gain Reinhardt's favor before the war ends. Because Operation Ragnarok, for a lot of these guys, is maybe their last chance to really distinguish themselves in Reinhardt's eyes. So
yeah,
I wonder if we'll end up getting a little bit of glory hound behavior from some of these guys.
Not necessarily any infighting or anything, but just it could be that the FPA has to not die.
Yes, definitely. It could be the linchpin. But we have Reinhard finally ending this party, kind of talking with Hilda. We get another if only Kirky eyes were here.
Yes, if only.
So add that to the tally. But we finally have Reinhard acknowledge that he might not know what he can do in a world where he doesn't have somebody to fight.
What happens after he wins the universe?
Yeah. We have a Reinhard kind of finally admitting, I'm a warmonger. That's who I am. I dress it up with flowery words, but that is who I am at the core. And we've talked about it a million times. Reinhard is without a doubt probably a great leader, probably a great administrator, but his personality, will it allow him to settle into peace? And who can say at this point?
Yeah.
But anyways, the party ends. We finally go back to the FPA, where
Council is just like,
fuck. What do we do?
Let's figure out how to tell everyone that we're screwed.
So, in a very FPA move, the FPA, the place that was founded as the bastion of liberty and democracy, is doing what bastions of democracy and liberty do, which is censor the news and try to decide how can we package this to the civilians.
But everybody knows already, because everyone from Phezzan already was like, hey, my planet's been taken over.
Right. And then, once again, we have Job Truniht in a stunning display of his leadership in times of conflict. Fucking bails on the government again.
Yeah.
He goes into hiding again.
What's the fucking official statement from the government? It's just we recognize that we have some responsibility for the situation.
Yes, that's it's the most fucking it's like the most fucking Japanese PR ass fucking statement in the world. Yeah. And here's
I'm glad to see some shots of the media people being like, what bullshit.
Right, yes, I am so glad we are getting the thing that always kind of bothered me with the FPA sometimes was just how fucking easily FPA civilians seem to eat the bullshit. that their politicians were feeding them. And it always felt like maybe only certain members of the military could recognize just how fucked up it was. But I'm glad there are people in the media who are like, dude, this is so bullshit. And it kind of it does stretch the imagination or stretch the, my believability. And I don't know, maybe this is something that they talk about in the books, but like, how the fuck can Job Truniht maintain his reputation when he has not fled once but twice in the face of like government upheaval? Like, how can anybody be like, yeah, Job Truniht, he's the guy who should lead the FPA? Like, the guy who fucking literally like goes out for a pack of cigarettes the second things start to look bad.
Like, I mean, yeah, you say that, but consider how many people are totally okay with the current administration of the United States.
Sure, but like, even then, like, if our current fucking president, like, if we were all of a sudden in a war, like, let's just say fucking Red Dawn fucking happens, the Russians and the Chinese are landing on our shores, and like, our president literally ghosted. Like, I would like to believe people will be like, actually, that's kind of fucked up.
Oh no, they would absolutely be saying, no, it's just part of a secret plan.
Of course, the master of, yes, fucking Miracle Trump. This is all part of his plan. Going in hiding and abandoning the populace was all part of his master plan. But anyways,
Dog was a fucking hell of a drug.
Yeah, it truly is. But anyways, we return to the council, who kind of basically have a very frank talk about okay, like, what do we do?
So are we gonna fight to death, or are we gonna fight until we can negotiate a peace treaty?
And not even that, they also do mention, or do we just straight up surrender?
Right.
Like, they do fucking put that on the table, which I think is kind of a pretty fucking frank realization on their part of the dire straits they are actually in. But anyways, eventually they decide, look, our best bet is to fight this war and try to like fight for like somewhat favorable terms, kind of pull a American Revolution or, Civil War, Confederate aims here of, if we bleed them out bad enough, maybe we can negotiate. And so, we return to our good friend Bucock.
Yep, who's been tasked with doing the thing.
Yes, with leading the efforts. And we get some great, as always, motherfucking Bucock, always with the just grade A lines, like if Yang is S tier in terms of his one-liners, like fucking Bucock is at least A tier.
A+ tier.
A+ tier, yeah. Like, we have this great line here where, like, Bucock's adjutant is like, maybe we should have let the National Military Salvation Council, like, kill all the politicians. And, Bucock, fucking true patriot to the end is like, nah, man, like, an alliance deal.
Right, what's the point of the autocratic dictatorship of the empire battling our military dictatorship?
Right. Like, the alliance cannot become a dictator just to compete with the empire's dictatorship. At its core, no matter what happens, the alliance should die as a democracy. And it's like, god damn, fucking...
Says if a nation can't protect its founding policy and its citizens, there's no reason for it to exist.
Right, just damn, Bucock, just fucking... You want a true patriot. You want the face of patriotism. It's my man Bucock here.
Not like bullshit ultranationalism, but like...
Right, that's the thing. Like, I'm trying to make that distinction. Like, Bucock's a patriot.
Yeah.
Like, he truly stands for what the FPA was founded for. This is a man who truly, like...
It's not just, like, my country, right or wrong. No, he's, like, represents the ideals of...
And not only that, I think it's, like, as you said, right? Like, it's not just the, like, my country, right or wrong. Bucock believes if my country is wrong, then we should die. Like, then we deserve to die if we were wrong, right? Like, it's a healthy amount of self-awareness that you really wish more people in his position of leadership had.
Yeah.
But anyways, Bucock is tasked with getting the FPA fleet ready for the fight. And by fleet, I say fleet singular, not fleets, because the only fleet left that's in kind of even like remotely fighting condition is the first fleet.
Because they did not get to go help Yang back during the coup d'etat or whatever, right?
Yes. So a weird a weird change of fortune, I guess. But unfortunately, they're putting Commander Paeta in charge of the first fleet, which, as we all remember, Paeta was a dude who basically nearly got their entire fleet killed back when Reinhard was a von Musel. But yeah, so it's not looking good. We kind of have a brief scene with the quote unquote new Empire government,
right, the government in exile.
Yes, we are introduced to a fantastic member of their new nobility, Hosinger, who is just fucking
just drinking it up in the meeting and fucking like telling them all off.
I mean, he's basically just saying what everybody fucking knows already, and that's that their new empire has no legitimacy.
Yep.
Like, how is a government considered legitimate? A government needs, like, a government can claim legitimacy through, like, I'm not going to go to full tangent here, but like, for a government to have legitimacy, they need like one of like multiple things. They need either power, like hard power, in the whether that's in the form of armies or soft power in terms of like economic power.
Right.
They need a legitimate.
If the citizenry of the empire still give a shit about the Kaiser, then they might have power. But they don't.
Yes.
So
but that's the thing, right? So that's kind of where I was getting to, is they have no claim. Like, their claim is the boy Kaiser. But again, a claim is only as worth as much as the people who actually believe in it. And nobody fucking believes in that claim. So that has no sway. And they have no influence. Like, they have no influence on the FPA. They have no influence on the rest of the empire. Like, they have literally nothing. They don't even have an army. Like, they have, what's his name? Yeah, they got mercats, but a general alone an army does not make.
Right.
So they have nothing. And Hosinger basically just lays this all out there. And, you can kind of see, like, there's one dude there that's like, how dare you say that? How dare you besmirch the name of the Kaiser? Isn't he like come on, guys?
I'm disgrace, so I can just say whatever the fuck I want.
And everybody else is just kind of like pulling on their collars and be like, I mean, Hosinger's got a point, like. But yeah, so
got a brief appearance of the bungling poet.
Yes, the bungling poet. We have Schneider and Schumacher meeting for the first time.
Yeah, those two these real damages they teamed up, I feel like.
Oh my god, I feel like, yes, like, the most, like, maybe the second or third most able adjutant in this show, plus Schneider, could make for a pretty beastly combo. And you know what? They can even bring the bungling poet along as comic relief.
Yeah, exactly. Power trio.
But the power trio, yes, the Empire in Exile power trio. But more importantly than that, we are introduced to a new character here when Bucock assembles
his staff together, but like everyone's dropping from disease. So he keeps getting reports of like, oh, this guy in this position's sick or something, so we need someone else.
Yes.
He's like, all right, bring in. I heard there was this guy called Trung Yu Chan.
Yes, but it's not just him. There has been kind of this, like, I mean, he is the most important replacement, but this entire episode has had this, like, pervasive theme of, like, FPA leadership, like, being, like, hospitalized by the sheer stress of this upcoming battle, that they're getting constantly replaced by, like, their adjutants and second commands, which is very funny. But anyways, yes, we are introduced to Bucock's new staff officer, Trung Yu Chan. We are introduced to him by he
call
shows
him
up
the second generation bakery, apparent, whatever that means.
He shows up at this meeting with a brown paper bag, and he just starts eating a sandwich in the middle of this meeting. What does he say, Iro?
He says, if He's like, "Oh, don't worry about this. Even if you steam it a little, even stale bread tastes okay."
Yes, it's very good. This
It's
dude,
just this like a weird guy who shows up at his meeting with a paper bag full of like stale convenience store sandwiches.
yes,
You know?
and like, because here's right. It's like you start to think, oh man, are we gonna get our next like fucking like crazy ass like Yang Wenli character? And no, instead we get this like very unassuming like middle manager looking type. And
But he lays it out.
yeah, but this is the thing is what he does here is he lays out maybe. And here's the thing that like now that we've watched all 3 episodes, I think I'm feeling a lot better about Chung Yu Chan. But at the same time, I really do like how he is used in this episode because he is the guy in Bucock's cabinet, his war cabinet that basically says the thing that like nobody wants to admit.
Yeah.
Not even we, the audience, wants to hear,
Yeah.
but we have to consider.
It's funny. It was great seeing both our reaction to this guy being like, "Oh, I like this guy. No, I don't like this guy anymore." Okay,
right. Right. So to kind of give it context, they're talking about okay, how are we going to win this war? And Chung Yu Chan's like, we
gotta pull Yang out of Iserlohn.
We need Yang Wenli, and we need to pull him from Iserlohn. And everybody, us included, were like, no, you can't do that. Like, what was the whole point of like fighting to win Iserlohn if like at the end of the day we just abandon it? But Chung Yu Chan basically says like, look at it this way. Let's say Yang stays at Iserlohn. We all get fucking killed and they invade and occupy Heinesen. Then what's the point of holding Iserlohn? Because now he's just, isolated.
Yeah.
Say he leaves it and they take back Iserlohn and we lose the war. We all die. Let's say we win the war and he loses Iserlohn. Like, either way, like,
even if we get like a favorable peace treaty, they'll ask for Iserlohn back.
Right. Like, no matter how this goes, it's a 90% chance we are losing Iserlohn either through military conquest or political treaty. Like, at some point, we have to just take the L and bring back what is our, like, strongest / only asset in this war. And there's kind of like this, it's really fantastic because, like, us as the viewers from a meta standpoint are like recoiling from this suggestion. So as are like Bucock's men, they're like, what? Like, abandon Iserlohn? But like, it's great because Chung Yu Chan basically says the thing that nobody wants to hear, like nobody even wants to consider. But like, this is what good generals do. This is what good leaders do. Is it's kind of like what Mirai said all those episodes back to Julian. Like, somebody needs to be the devil's advocate, and somebody needs to say the things that everybody else has considered unthinkable. Because sometimes the situation has gotten so desperate that the unthinkable must now be considered.
Yeah.
And so they basically agreed, okay, like we need to we will send a letter to we'll send a letter to Yang Wenli. And there's kind of a little bit of politicking here, where Bucock is like, well, I don't want to be the do we want to be the ones that take the blame for, or we don't want Yang Wenli to like get blamed for abandoning Iserlohn or something, right? It's like
you want to order him to abandon Iserlohn, and it's like just tell him to do what he thinks he should do. Like, just tell him to do what he thinks he should do.
Yes, it's like a very good little bit of politicking. But anyways, so yes, Yang receives the letter, and the letter from Bucock basically just says, Yang Wenli, I, Admiral Bucock, order you to do what you believe is best. And Yang Wenli's like,
responsibility.
Right. And Yang Wenli's like, well, Yang Wenli, we had this great moment where he's like, motherfucker, he's asking me to work for more than my paycheck. But yeah, and then we get a fantastic little bit here in this montage of the FPA getting ready for war, where we get Sitholet out here just beekeeping, which is fantastic. Like, he had that throwaway line all those episodes back, and hey, here he is doing exactly what
Job Truniht with his Earth cult folks watching TV.
Yeah, that too. I try not to think about Job Truniht, but yes, he is there as well.
And another adjutant dies a heart attack or whatever, and is immediately replaced by Bucock.
Or Bucock replaces that dude with a dude named I wrote it down here.
What was your name? You have an unusual name.
Soul's curator or something.
Yeah.
And we have this great line from Bucock. I order you, officer, guy whose name I can't pronounce.
Soul's whatever.
Right.
You are the new adjective.
Yes, you are the new adjutant. But finally, the episode ends with
Mittermeyer
here fucking getting ready to invade the FPA from Phezzan.
Oh, Mittermeyer!
And Mittermeyer out the dumbest one-liners that have maybe ever been considered. But you can also get this feeling that maybe Mittermeyer feels really proud of this.
It's we're invading, but we're uninvited guests. It's a question of whether we can get into the dining hall. But even if I sit down at the table, the food might be poisoned.
Right. It's just like, oh, you just know Mittermeyer was probably practicing this in the mirror in his captain's quarters. Like, oh, the front door may be open, but can we make it to the dining room? And it's like, you can just tell that Mittermeyer is saying under his breath, oh man, Reuenthal would love this.
Got it. Of course, sir. Dining room.
Yes, sure. That metaphor makes sense. But yeah. So that is that episode.
And meanwhile, Iserlohn is episode 46. Reuenthal is considering his traumatic backstory.
Yes. We go back to fucking Reuenthal's overwrought backstory.
It's very important to him, or something.
Yes. But that doesn't really matter. We just get, basically Reuenthal was napping. We cut back to Yang, where he basically reveals his decision to the rest of his cabinet that, look, we're going to abandon Iserlohn. We're going to take everybody with us. We're taking the civilians. We're taking the military personnel. We are doing a full and complete abandoning of Iserlohn.
Yep.
Because as long as our fleet stays here, we can't really help win the war. Reuenthal was here on purpose to tie up our fleet. We cannot allow him to do that. We need to join up with the rest of the FPA.
And Shenkop says you should wait until they start begging you to help before you go help.
Yeah, Shenkop's not wrong, but alas, Yang knows that. Look, we need to be there as soon as possible. Time is rapidly running out for us. And we finally have this really kind of good little line here that everybody kind of finally acknowledges another quiet truth in the room, where Yang says that perhaps the only way to win this war is that Reinhard is not married.
Yep, he has no heirs.
And that perhaps
no one else can take his position.
Right, and that perhaps in a way is not that basically Yang just exposes, what is in fact the biggest weakness of a dictatorship is that it all leads to one man. And if there is some possible way to take out that one man, that you could entirely turn, the tide of the war.
Yeah.
But
and we see that the Empire also knows that this is probably what Yang Wenli is planning.
Yes. Reinhard himself admits, if Yang is smart, he's probably going to try and kill me. So,
like I said, there's it's like you bring up, there's a back and forth that everyone is broadly aware of what the other side is roughly trying to do. Yeah.
Yes. If you'll allow me to maybe go into a brief tangent here about military tactics.
Go for it.
I will say that I really like these conversations in these episodes because it is a much more nuanced approach to military strategy and tactics than you often find in most anime. I think if anybody's watched an anime about mind games and strategy, you've watched your Death Notes, you've watched your Code Geass, you've watched your The Price of Smiles. You get this feeling that often the way strategy works in fiction is that the hero general,
this thing that nobody could have foreseen.
Right, they pull off a strategy that is completely unforeseen, that completely catches the enemy off guard. They had no way of predicting, and those are very exciting to watch because it can be cool to be oh man, what kind of crazy plan did they pull off? I mean, that's half the appeal of Yang Wenli, right? Pulling off his donut formations and pounding Kempf in the butt. Like these are like fun strategies because they are like surprising and spontaneous. But
yeah,
at its core, what usually actually happens in a war between two sides is that both sides are actually very keenly aware of what they're trying to do, what the other their enemy might try to do. For a famous example would be like
right.
another famous example would be the D-Day landings. D-Day was not a surprise. Nazi Germany was very well aware the Allies were going to land in France. They had to. They were going to start their beachhead. They were going to begin their invasion and push into Nazi occupied territory through France. And they knew that they were going to land at one of like 4 or 5 beaches. They knew without a doubt this was going to happen. So the success of tactics and strategies is less, can we surprise them by doing something they've never seen coming? And more, can we hit them in the area they're least prepared for?
Yeah.
And we kind of see that here in this back and forth between the FPA and the Empire. The Empire knows that the FPA's only option is to basically let the Empire extend themselves into FPA territory and then hopefully bleed them out, through defensive battles. Bucock knows this. Mittermeyer knows this. So then the surprises are less, what can we do to catch them off guard, and more, where are they weakest? And how do we hit that with maximum efficiency?
Yeah.
And I think that is just always going to be a more nuanced and far more interesting take on military tactics than just the old, you fell for my keikaku, like
my
impossible
microwave water explosion or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But anyways, yes, but to get back to it,
Shenkov's still advocating for Yang to just charge in and take power of everything. Yeah. Still saying it. Pretty much.
I mean, look, I think somebody has to advocate for it.
Yeah.
And the more and more as we watch this show develop, the more and more I wonder if maybe Shenkop was right, all the way back during the days of the NSMC coup. But,
Yang Wenli says political power is like sewage. You can't do without it, but it's not something you really want to deal with.
Yes. And, Yang has never wanted anything to do with politics, so, that tracks with his character. But then, at the same time, they also have this line of, but if the majority wish for a dictatorship as a democracy, how do you solve that paradox?
I don't know. I don't know.
If the majority vote for a dictatorship, how do you maintain democracy in such a situation? But that's not a question for Yang the Swindler to consider. We get another AKA for Yang Wenli from the Empire side here. About how is Yang the Swindler going to pull off this retreat from Iserlohn?
Yeah, he's defended it for so long already.
Yeah, Yang and his great powers that everybody can believe in.
His amazingly powerful reputation that's just
that continues to strike fear in the heart of every Empire commander. But yeah, while Yang is busy playing with the cat, Dusty says that, hey, actually, I got a plan, and let me try it out. And we kind of get a fun bit here where Frederica kind of knowingly nods at Dusty to be like, think about how you deliver this to Yang Wenli. Like, think about how you can convince Yang Wenli to accept this plan.
Right.
And Dusty says, oh, right, I'll take full responsibility for it. So leave it to me.
I'll win. I came up with an easy way to win.
Yes.
Rather than like, I have a good plan, sir. Or something.
And if there's anything Yang Wenli likes, it's easy plans that win.
Yeah.
So we get this great part here where we have Helmut Lennenkamp. Is he the one with the Stalin mustache?
I think so.
So he is tasked with going after the Empire see that some civilian transports are escaping from Iserlohn, and Lennenkamp is tasked with going after them.
But they're explosives.
Right. He gets a little too aggressive with the transports and gets caught with his ass out, basically, which allows Dusty to basically pull like a weird like perpendicular like formation that just fucking rips his shit up. Alas, Dusty doesn't get the kill. Reuenthal swoops in and just in time to save Lennekomp's ass. But
there's also a fun moment of, because this is all basically the Iserlohn crew delaying Reuenthal to buy time to like evacuate everyone. So there's a bit where Casalnu is tired of dealing with irate civilians. He said, just send young Wenli to talk to them, whatever. So they're all mad in the hallway, and then young Wenli just strolls on down the hallway and says, "Yeah, I've got a plan, guys.
We're working on it. We'll figure it out." And everybody's like, "Well, if Miracle Young says so, then I'm sure we'll be fine."
Just like Alpha Seal, yay!
Yeah, they start clapping.
We'll be fine.
I like that for once in his life, Yang Wenli's reputation also works positively for him as well. But yes, after the damage, so yes, Lennekomp gets caught with his whole ass out. Reuenthal saves him. Dusty sacrifices a few hundred transports, but manages to bloody the Empire fleet pretty bad.
Yeah.
To the point where we get another AKA for Yang Wenli. Yang Wenli, a source of disease, which is once again just fucking Yang Wenli, king of the rap game, got fucking like 15 AKA. Yang Wenli, AKA the Magician, AKA Miracle Young, AKA the Swindler, AKA
Source of Disease, AKA the Legendary Hero,
AKA the Hero of Alpha Seal. So good. But yeah. So we get this great bit here I just want to talk about where they're talking about the operation, and Casalnu's like, who approved that operation? Sure, we hurt the Empire, but we lost 600 transport ships in that battle.
Why'd you do such a dumb thing, yo?
They were empty transports meant to be used as decoys, but how are we going to get the civilians off? We're going to have to put them in military ships now, and that is a huge liability. And we get this great scene where he's ranting about this. Fucking Dusty's walking up. He hears Casalnu ranting, and he just fucking turns around and slinks away.
I'm out of here. And Yang is just like, oh, come on.
Right, we get like Yang Wenli extending his hands like, wait, Dusty. So.
Yeah, but I guess. Yeah.
But
I guess
don't worry.
Put all these women and children on the Ulysses because it's a lucky ship.
Yes, we get this great shot of once again the crew of the Ulysses complaining about the fact that they're gonna have to transport, include like 500 500 pregnant women and babies on their ship or something.
Yeah,
and we get this great bit here where one of the dudes tries to try to make the best of it. It's like, hey, I heard that women are at their most beautiful after giving birth. And another one's like, yeah, but like 500 babies.
It's gonna be loud.
But so the crew of the Ulysses continues to be the best.
I want if they're setting these guys up to be important somehow here down the line.
I hope so. But finally, the last part of this plan is Yang Wenli's like, we gotta
leave them a little present.
Right, a little gift. We gotta leave something here for them. And at first you think, oh, they're gonna booby trap Iserlohn. They're gonna set it to blow up or something. But
it's a double layer booby trap.
Yang Wenli says, we need to set up some bombs in Iserlohn. Hide them just well enough that they find them, but they find them at the last minute.
Right.
And
to throw them off the trail of the real trick.
Right. So there's a real trick somewhere at Iserlohn. But we don't know what it is yet. Reuenthal successfully finds the bombs in time, and Reuenthal even suspects for a little bit. He's like, that almost went a little too well. I wonder if there's something else here at Iserlohn. And we don't know what it is by the end of this episode.
Shrewd man. Surely he has got something planned.
And I think it's, we should move on to episode 47 soon, but I just want to say I'm very curious what this plan is, because whatever it is,
alone, should they ever need to do so.
Right, Yang Wenli, the only thing we know about the true hidden gift, quote unquote, hidden on Iserlohn is that it is something that might allow Yang to easily take back Iserlohn. But it is something that cannot destroy Iserlohn, because if all he needed to do was destroy Iserlohn, he would just hit in bombs, but it is something that will A, allow him to take back Iserlohn, but B, not harm it. And that, I think, is
the interesting part.
I'm very curious what that might be. I wonder if we're gonna find out it's like some truly like hiding in plain sight sort of thing. It is just like there right in front of their eyes, but like they will just never see it because I don't know. I don't know what it is. My off the cuff guess was this was written in 1988. I think technically computer viruses existed by this time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What if there's a hidden USB plugged into some random terminal on Iserlohn, and it's got a fucking computer virus on it that disables its defenses or something, a backdoor, yeah. Or maybe it goes the other way around. They pull an old social engineering thing where Yang specifically left a single unmarked USB just sitting on the floor of the terminal, and Reuenthal, unable to contain his curiosity, I wonder what this is. I bet it's got FPA plans in it. And plugs it in, and turns out that's the back door that weakens Iserlohn. Who can say?
Yeah, but Reuenthal retakes Iserlohn for the Empire 2 years later, and also
I'd say Yang had a good run on Iserlohn, all said and done.
True.
There
also,
was
one of his troops was embezzling resources from the Alliance or something during the occupation of Iserlohn. And so Reuenthal shoots him himself.
Yes, I would. Yes, definitely an interesting contrast to Mittermeyer's execution. Whereas Mittermeyer was I wish I could kill them myself, but
it wouldn't be proper or something.
Yeah, we're gonna do a proper execution. Whereas, meanwhile, fucking Reuenthal don't give a shit. He's just
just pulls the trigger himself.
I'll pull the goddamn trigger. But now here's the interesting thing, right?
Yeah.
In his execution, the one who's being executed says,
it's not fair that you guys can take a whole nation, a whole, planet, but I just take, some resources, and you're calling me a thief and a devil.
Right, and, and not only that, but he's calling out Reinhard. He's, thinking about Reinhard taking all this shit for himself, what about the rest of you guys? And I think, I'm not saying this guy single-handedly convinced Reuenthal, but
it's part of a running theme, I think.
It is the catalyst of a running theme of Reuenthal's resentment of Reinhard. And we kind of have Reuenthal kind of thinking to himself, I'm the one who controls Iserlohn.
Right.
I wonder. And I actually do truly wonder, I don't think Reuenthal's going to suddenly declare, the kingdom of Iserlohn ruled by, Lord, Reuenthal all of a sudden. But I do wonder when Reuenthal's resentment is going to come into play. It's just been kind of slowly bubbling under the surface. And I almost wonder if Reuenthal could be the wrench in Reinhard's plans that allows the FPA to push them back.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Reuenthal would intentionally sabotage the Empire. I think Reuenthal wants to destroy the FPA bad enough that he wouldn't just straight up betray Reinhard. But I do wonder if Reuenthal's behavior might serve as a linchpin that allows the FPA some breathing room.
Yeah. It's definitely that seed has been planted, and it's shown up here and there.
Totally. But anyways, yes, let's move on to episode 47, because as much as I'd love to speculate about that, I think we're just going to have to see when that comes into play.
Yep. Reinhard's gotten the report of Reuenthal taking over Iserlohn. It takes it as the signal for him to go out on the offensive. And meanwhile, Julian and Maschengo are still prepping to leave Phezzan.
Yes, we return to our friends Julian and Maschengo back at Phezzan.
And Julian out with his stock of groceries, a baguette in a bag.
Sees Reinhard's motorcade going down the street.
But he left his gun back with Maschengo.
And you could almost say that this episode is just the adventures of Julian being reminded by random Yang anecdotes about basic morality and strategy.
Right, he goes to pull his gun and just shoot Reinhard right then, right there.
Let's be honest, what if he did? What if he fucking did it? We would lose Julian, of course, but fucking, what if Julian in a glorious suicide attack just took out Reinhard right here?
But he flashes back to young Wenli, who tells him that neither terrorism nor occultism have changed history in a constructive way.
Which is a very funny, just like, oh, I'm so glad Yang Wenli just conveniently brought that up in a conversation sometime. Just also, Julian.
Conflating terrorism with occultism
is very good. It's very good. But then we have Marinesk, the captain who was arranging their smuggling, kind of approaches Julian on the street and he's like, hey, they kind of have a conversation about how Julian's like, man,
the great Reinhard von Lohengrin in the flesh.
Yeah, he's like, oh, Reinhard's so great, Yang's so great, how could I ever compare to these guys? And Marinesk
drops like fucking whole prepared speech of like, they're kind of just regular guys, right?
Yeah, like, or not even that, but he's like, hey, like, don't compare yourself to others. Like, they came from completely different circumstances. Like, Reinhard came from a completely different culture, a completely different government, a completely different familial structure in government. Like, of course things were going to go different. Like, you can't go comparing yourselves to guys like that because...
And in fact, at your age, you're compared to them at your age, you're doing quite well for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, hell, let's be honest. Compare Yang Wenli to Julian already, like fucking... Well, what the fuck was Yang doing at Julian's age? Probably like...
Just studying military history or something.
Yeah, and like dancing badly.
Losing the girl.
Yeah, but then more importantly to this whole conversation, Marinesk informs Julian that we have another client in their smuggling that we're going to smuggle with us. He's a priest from Earth.
Yeah, this Bishop Degsby guy.
Yeah, who likes to get high on his own supply. But
yep.
Yes, so we cut to Reinhard kind of talking with his generals or his admirals about their new plan. Reinhard just can't resist the urge to take the fight to Yang.
Yeah.
We find out that Bittenfield and Fahrenheit have arrived in Phezzan.
I mean, Hilda tries to tell him to just hang back at the Empire and, direct stuff from there because Mittermeyer and Reuenthal, the twin stars of the Empire, could totally just win.
But there's just a part of Reinhard who he cannot resist a good fight. He's like, but if Yang Wenli's out there, I need to fight him.
The way he puts it, he'd rather grasp the universe with his bare hands rather than through gloves.
Yes, which I think is once again just Reinhard making excuses for his warmongering.
Yeah, oh yes.
But yeah, then we finally get speaking of people who are in hiding, we get a little bit here with Rubinsky just chilling with Dominique Saint Pierre, and we kind of have an interesting conversation between them.
We're like seem to be enjoying her role as she was basically a honey trap for Rupert.
Yeah, and we kind of find out that she didn't really like doing that to an extent. And not only that, but she doesn't really approve of Rubinsky that much either. In fact, she specifically says, like, actually, you and Rupert are a lot more similar than you'd like to admit. And, Rubinsky tries to play this off as, yes, poor Rupert, too bad he inherited all my bad traits. And, Dominique's kind of like, yeah, well, you still have those bad traits, so, don't ever forget that.
Mm-hmm.
But it is kind of a neat, it is kind of a neat conversation. I think maybe he might hint to, like, Rubinsky kind of feels like a man who is always in control, but he might not be in as much control as he believes. And I wonder if that will come into play later.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and so picking up Bishop Degsby is also a convenient excuse to disguise all the refugees that Marinesk is taken out of Phezzan as just Earth Cult pilgrims. Would just give you all these big ribbons that say Terra is my mother, and we'll tell everyone that we're going to some Imperial system, but we'll take y'all to your destinations.
Yes. We are introduced to one Carrie Willock, who is
Space
our
Adventure Cobra.
Yes, Space Adventure Cobra, now here with our, fucking teaming up with Julian and Mashengo. We got ourselves another new power trio in this set of episodes.
Yeah, and they head out of Phezzan, I guess.
Yeah. So yes. Then we find out that from the Empire side that they have a new strategy for their invasion of the FPA known as the two-headed snake formation.
Right. I guess the idea is they'll make it look like they're overextending in much the same way as Omlitzer, so that the FPA will try to attack the middle and go for the supply lines. But oh no, we also had a powerful fleet near the middle.
Right, so essentially
the second head of the snake, and they will encircle the FPA fleet and destroy them.
Yeah, so to better explain it, essentially, Reinhard is doing a fun bit of weird perspective wrangling here, where he is purposely creating a very long, narrow formation with Reinhard at the front, Mittermeyer in the middle, and then Wallen in the rear. And at first, this makes it look like, oh, a long, narrow formation is usually used for advances, but the weakness of it is that it is very weak to attacks to its flanks. However, what Reinhard is doing here is very interesting. Is that he is specifically anticipating that the FPA will go for that, and so by putting Mittermeyer in the middle, he is actually making the center of his formation the strongest part of it, with Wallen and Reinhard essentially acting as the flanking wings of it. And I got to be honest, unless we find out that Bucock is fucking, second to Yang Wenli in tactics, I'm worried about how this is going to go, because they also mentioned that the Empire has over 100,000 ships in their fleet against the FPA's 30,000.
3-1 outnumbered.
And not only that, but this is Reinhardt's strongest 100,000 versus the FPA's 30,000 that they could cobble together at the last second.
Exactly.
So, oh boy, just making things very, very nervous for all of us.
Yeah, and after the meeting, Reinhard meets some kid named Emil von Secla. And this innocent, bright-eyed young man reminds Reinhard von Lohengrin of his best friend, Siegfried Kirky Eyes.
Yes. Just another...
says, child, you must return home to your family and tell everyone I was the one who inspired Reinhard von Lohengrin to win at Brontomario.
Yes, Reinhard just playing his, fucking Class A PR game here. But yeah, so we know that Brontomario, which you just mentioned, is where this battle is going to happen.
Right. It's as far as the FPA can allow the Empire to invade before.
Right. It is the last possible place we can fight before we start entering territory that is within within range of Heinesen. We also cut to the FPA also planning for this battle, and we kind of talk about we have a good conversation here about how important timing is for this battle. The timing of this battle is some real fucking razor's edge shit.
Right, because we have to move all of the civilians out of the area. We have to move all of our forces to the side of the battle before the Empire forces from Iserlohn can also get here. But also there's to make sure there's time for Yang's fleet to show up, and we have to rendezvous with them. But it's a lot of timing here. It's really fascinating, and it's a good. I'm not going to get into it too much now because I think I'll save this for when the battle actually happens. But timing is honestly one of those weird, very underexplored aspects of how of what can decide battles. Battles have been won and lost by did this part of the formation get here on time, or did the enemy get there before we anticipated? Catching us off guard and crumbling. Our potential advantage will only last for X amount of time until their reinforcements show up, and then we're screwed.
Exactly. There's this weird aspect of the battle where, yes, of course, the FPA wants to stretch this on for as long as possible to give themselves more time to prepare, but at the same time, the longer they take, like
the more the Empire just charges up.
yes, the more time the Empire has to like fully reinforce itself. Like in a weird ways, the FPA needs to wait till the right moment where they are as reinforced as they can ideally get without the Empire itself having like stockpiled too many resources as well.
Yeah.
And we're gonna just
it's
they're gonna be played as close as they can. But who cares about that? Because we return to Julian on the smuggling ship.
Worried about this weird Bishop Begsby guy who's just drinking it up and throwing up blood and doing drugs.
Yes. But more importantly, they kind of talk about like, well, what happens if like we get like if some Empire like patrol ship catches us,
right.
And they fucking jinx themselves by saying, I wouldn't worry about it too much. There's so many ships out here, like they're not going to bother one.
Sell out other Phezzan.
Surely not. But then
they totally are.
They totally do, yes. So we find out that the Empire is not only patrolling Phezzan space, but they're doing it with the help of Phezzan collaborators who are helping them like point out which ships might be suspicious.
And right on cue, they're hailed by an Imperial destroyer or whatever, saying, "Hey, we're gonna check your ship."
Yes.
But, so Julian comes up with basically Trojan horse planner.
Yes, he has yet another anecdote of Yang Wenli talking about like strategy and tactics. Just fucking fucking ghost Yang Wenli in his head being like, I forget what he says exactly here, but he's like, just sometimes the best strategy is like is exactly the one they expect or something.
Right. So it's basically Julian makes a look as he sets it up so that Captain Marinesk can say, yeah, we had these Alliance people on board. They tried to hijack us. We'd like to turn them over to you. Thanks for showing up at the right time, guys.
Yeah, basically Julian pulls off a fucking Iserlohn where he plays into exactly basically what he does is he doesn't lie. He tells the truth. We are FPA guys who are trying to escape from Phezzan. And the only lie is that we got captured by the Phezzan smugglers, and that lets them
we failed to take them over.
Yes, and that allows them to get the jump on the Empire like patrol ship and take over the destroyer, which is just so fucking good. Like
gets to beat up some dudes.
Yeah, so we even get some Space Adventure Cobra in action too. So now we know that we got Julian and crew on a destroyer, an Imperial destroyer, on their way back to Heinessen.
Yeah, they blow up the old Phezzan ship, and they release their prisoners or whatever, and Captain Marinesk is like, cool, I guess I got a cool new ship!
Yep.
I own the ship now because you blew up my old one.
Yeah, to consider this payment for the old ship. But
only 6 days until the Battle of Reuenthal.
Yes, but also notably, it will take 15 days for Yang to arrive at Reuenthal as well. So
right, it's like, how much are they gonna have to hold back?
Yeah,
the next few episodes is gonna be some intense stuff.
Yes, this battle will be very much decided on the most thinnest of margins, but. Yeah, so that is those 3 episodes of Legend of the Galactic Heroes. Once again, I feel like it's a lot of setup this week, just really setting up for the very big events that are going to happen very soon.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think I guess weirdly enough, not as much to say. I feel like we kind of know what's going to happen. The facts are laid bare for us. We know who the movers and shakers are going to be, and we know where everybody else is. So, I don't know, Iro, do you have any
how it plays out? Yeah, so my baseless speculation, I suppose, just based on the current setup, the only clear ways I see to really for the Empire to lose its advantage are Reuenthal pulling something with Iserlohn, which I'm not sure would happen at this stage of the show.
I don't think so. I do
or
agree.
like Julian somehow using the advantage of having an Imperial ship. But I don't know how much one ship could do unless they pull another fucking Sea of Stars movie trick of holding Reinhard's ship hostage.
Yeah.
Again.
Oh, but what if he did?
Do it a second time. I can't believe I fell for the same trick twice.
Right. I think that is the thing, right? Like we have a lot. The thing I really like about this, the place we are at with Legend of the Galactic Heroes is how many pieces in play we have on the table.
Right.
And the just myriad of ways they could be used at this point. Like there is Reuenthal, there is Julian. We have Yang Wenli rushing to meet up with Bucock at Reuenthal.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and there's always the possibility of the Earth Cult pulling some shit.
Right, and then there's always just the fucking Earth Cult just hanging out in the corner doing their shady fucking shit.
He said within 3 years. It's been 2 years.
Yeah, so it is coming up. And I think that's the thing. Like, it's hard to tell. Like, as much as I want to... I could baselessly speculate for, like, the next 30 minutes about how things might go, but it's really hard to tell at this point, and that is kind of the most exciting aspect.
I never know what's going to happen next in this show.
Yeah, and I think, especially now, like, you're right, like, what if Reuenthal does something, or what if Julian manages to use the fact that he's captured an Imperial destroyer to, like, infiltrate, Imperial, like, lines or something? We don't know, but that's kind of what makes it exciting.
Yeah.
But,
man, show's still good, you know?
Still very good.
47 episodes in to Legend of the Galactic Heroes.
We're almost halfway through, man, and we still it's so hard to tell how this show will surprise us. But I think with that,
I
think we're going to call that a podcast. So let's take care of some housekeeping, including some new changes to
that's right.
to talk about.
We're on Podbean now.
Yeah.
I think there's a new RSS to subscribe to.
So not only that, but there is we have made some changes to our podcast feed. Apologies to old listeners. You may have to resubscribe to a new feed. We will include details about that in the post itself. We're still getting that sorted out.
Yeah.
But as always, though, you can always find the podcast and the rest of our posts at theglorioblog.com. You can follow us on Twitter at theglorioblog.
We're also on YouTube.
Yes, you will always find it on YouTube. Google fucking the GLORIO
Heroes.
Yes, feel free to keep subscribing there so that we may one day get a unique URL. Additionally, feel free to listen to our sister podcast, the GLORIO Chat.
We talk about recent anime.
Yeah, you can catch Legend of the Galactic Heroes on High Dive and VRB.
Yeah. And you really should. I guess if anyone's fucking listening to this, they're already watching the show or have watched the show. But, yeah.
Hey, just in case.
Watch it again. I don't know.
Why not? But, I think that's it.
Yeah.
We're on iTunes. Leave a 5-star review if you're listening to it there.
Comment. Spread the word.
Yes. Like, comment, and also subscribe, blah, 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 etc., etc. But, I think that's it. So, as always, thank you all for listening. Iro, thank you for accompanying me.
Thank you.
And until next time, we will see you all amongst the sea of stars.